My name is Suzanne Francis. I'm 29 years old. When I was 21, my parents sat me down at the dinner table and told me they were giving my law school fund to my pregnant older sister. $92,000. The money my grandmother left specifically for my education. My mother smiled and said, "You can work. It builds character." My father didn't even blink. He just said, "Your sister needs us more." I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I said, "Okay." Then I hugged my mother, and I went upstairs. At 8:56 p.m., my phone lit up with a security alert. My father was trying to access the account right that moment while I was still in the house. But here's what they didn't know. 5 weeks earlier, I'd already moved every cent legally, and I'd locked them out completely. Before I tell you how I used Connecticut law to protect myself from my own family, and how I later discovered they'd secretly stolen $13,850 from me over 12 years without my knowledge, drop a comment. Which city are you watching from right now? And if you've ever wondered whether those family emergency withdrawals could trigger an IRS audit in 2026, keep watching because the receipts don't just hurt feelings, they can cost thousands and penalties. Because what happened next changed everything. It was a Sunday, September 24th, 2017. I'd driven 2 hours and 18 minutes from Manhattan back to Stamford, Connecticut. I'd been at Columbia Law School for 3 weeks, still adjusting to the pressure, still finding my place among students who all seemed to know exactly what they were doing. That morning, my mother had called, "Can you come home for dinner tonight? We need to talk about something important. Amanda will be here, too." I should have known then. I hugged my mother like nothing had happened. Her perfume, still the same white diamonds she'd worn since 1998, mixed with the smell of pot roast drifting from the kitchen. I felt my stomach twist, but I smiled. 2 hours and 18 minutes earlier, I'd left Manhattan in my Honda Civic with a navy folder already hidden in the passenger seat. Every mile on I-95, I replayed the text my mother sent 4 weeks ago. That money is for the family. I remember gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. I wasn't angry yet. I was ready. When I pulled into the driveway at 4:15 p.m., the autumn leaves crunched under my tires exactly like they did when I was 16. Amanda's silver Camry was parked crooked as always. I sat in the car for 30 seconds, took one deep breath, and whispered to myself, "This ends tonight." When I walked in, Amanda was on the sofa with red eyes. My mother was making pot roast, Amanda's favorite, not mine, and my father wasn't in his usual spot in the living room. Something was wrong. Dinner started at 6:30. The conversation was surface level. Forced. At 6:42, I noticed Amanda's engagement ring was gone. She'd been engaged since March. At 7:03, my father set down his napkin. My mother took Amanda's hand, and my father said the words that would change our relationship forever. "Your sister is 5 months pregnant. Jason lost his job. The wedding is postponed. She needs help." He paused. Then he said it. "We've decided to transfer your education fund to Amanda." Not ask. Decided. "The fund your grandmother left. $92,000. That'll cover Amanda's medical bills, help her get on her feet, set up the nursery. You're already at Colia. You can take loans like everyone else. You can work." Columbia law tuition was $65,874 a year. He knew that number. He'd looked it up. My mother jumped in with the rationalization. It came fast. Rehearsed. "Sweetheart, you've always been so capable, so independent. Amanda can't work right now. She's pregnant. But you have options. You can work part-time. Take federal loans. It builds character. This is what family does." Amanda was crying. "I'm so sorry, Susie. I didn't want to ask, but she didn't refuse the money. She just apologized for taking it." And I thought about every time before the pattern I'd been watching for years. Amanda's car accident when I was 9. $6,200 from my account. Her college semester she never finished. $18,600 gone. Her wedding deposit, that vanished. $8,500. Every single time. Amanda needs help. Suzanne can handle it. I stood up. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I said one word. "Okay." They looked shocked. They'd prepared for resistance. My mother started. "Oh, sweetheart. Thank you for understanding." I cut her off gently. "Can I be excused? I have reading for tomorrow." Amanda said, "Thank you, Susie. I'll pay you back someday. I promise." I didn't respond. My mother stood up and hugged me. A real hug, warm, like every hug we'd ever shared. She whispered, "I love you, sweetheart." I said, "I love you too, Mom." And here's the thing nobody understood. I meant it. I loved them. I still do. But love and boundaries aren't mutually exclusive. I climbed those 14 wooden steps slowly, each one creaking under my weight like it always had. The house smelled of pot roast and apple pie. Comfort smells that used to mean safety. Tonight, they felt like a trap. At the top, I paused outside my old bedroom door. The brass knob was still loose, the way it had been since I was 12. I turned it quietly, slipped inside, and locked it. The click echoed louder than it should have. I sat on the edge of the bed, the same faded blue comforter from high school. My laptop was open on the desk, screen dimmed. My phone rested in my lap. I could hear them downstairs, plates clinking in the sink, my mother's soft voice asking my father if he was okay, Amanda murmuring something about the baby. My heart was pounding, but not from fear, from anticipation. I opened the Fidelity app again. Balance $92, 31583. I whispered to the empty room. "This is mine." For the first time in my life, those words felt true. Not just legally, emotionally. I wasn't the backup plan anymore. I was the plan. If you've ever been the responsible child, the one who's expected to sacrifice so everyone else can be comfortable, drop. I understand in the comments right now. The first alert came at 8562. My phone buzzed against my thigh like a warning shot. I opened it immediately. Unauthorized login attempt detected. Device Windows PC unrecognized. Location Stamford, Connecticut IP 192.168.1.105. That was the home network, my father's desktop in the study, 10 feet below me. I heard the faint tapping of keys through the floorboards, slow at first, confident, then faster, frustrated. He muttered something I couldn't quite catch. My mother's voice floated up. "What's wrong, Vincent?" "Nothing. Passwords not working." I smiled in the dark. Small, tight, satisfied. He tried again. Alert number 2 at 85741. Failed login attempt number 2. Incorrect password. Attempts remaining. 1. The tapping stopped. Silence. Then the chair scraped back. Footsteps. Heavy. Heading toward the stairs. My pulse spiked, but I stayed still. I counted his steps. 1, 2, 3. He stopped halfway up. Then my mother's voice, sharper now. "Vincent, what are you doing?" He didn't answer. The keyboard sounds came again downstairs, slower, more deliberate. I could literally hear the chair scrape as he stood up. My mother's voice cracked. "Vincent, what's going on?" I pictured his face turning the exact shade of red I remembered from the night Amanda crashed the car in 2005. My phone vibrated again. Alert number 3. At 8:59 and 28 seconds, the final alert arrived. Security lockout activated. Account access restricted for 24 hours. 12 seconds of silence. Then it locked me out. "What do you mean?" "The account, it says I'll call them." It was 9:01 p.m. Fidelity customer service closed at 9 on Sundays. I heard him dial anyway. The automated voice, the frustration in his response, then footsteps fast, heading toward the stairs. My mother's voice quieter. "Maybe Susan knows something. She's the account holder now, isn't she? Since she turned 21. 5 seconds of absolute silence. Then my father's voice. Different now. Cold. "She's what?" Something hit the desk hard. Papers scattering. Then he screamed up the staircase. "Suzanne, get down here right now." I stood up, smoothed my jeans, walked to the door. I counted to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I opened the door and walked downstairs, calm, steady. When I reached the dining room, my father was standing, face red. My mother looked shocked. Amanda stood frozen in the doorway. His computer screen glowed. Account locked. What did you do? I kept my voice even. I don't understand the question. The account, I can't access it. I changed the password on August 22nd. You can't just I turned 21 on August 15th. Dad, in Connecticut, UTMA custodianship terminates at 21. The account legally became mine, so yes, I could. My mother's voice cracked. But we just talked about this at dinner. You said okay. I said okay to hearing your plan. I didn't say I'd give you access to an account that's legally mine. My father's hands were shaking. That money was from your grandmother for family. I walked to the coat closet. I pulled out the navy blue folder I'd placed there that afternoon. I set it on the dining room table. No, Dad. It was from Grandma Dorothy for my education. Would you like to see the paperwork? I opened it. Gift letter. November 3rd, 2001. Notarized. Dorothy Hamilton, hereby gift the sum of $55,000 to my granddaughter Suzanne Marie Francis to be held in custodial trust under the Connecticut Uniform Transfers to Minors Act. This gift is irrevocable and is designated solely for Suzanne's higher education expenses. Upon reaching age 21, full control shall transfer to Suzanne. Connecticut Statute Printout. Section 45A, 558C highlighted. Upon the minor attaining age 21, the custodian shall transfer all custodial property to the minor. Shall not may transfer confirmation from Fidelity. August 22nd, 2017. My father stared at the documents. My mother whispered, "You planned this." I prepared for a possibility. You made it a reality. But I didn't tell them everything that night. I didn't tell them about the email I'd found. The one my father sent to Fidelity in 2012 asking if he could use my account for family emergencies. I didn't tell them I knew about the $13,850. Not yet. Let me take you back. Because this wasn't the first time. 8 years old. The piano lesson. I was 8 when I first noticed the pattern. It was a Saturday morning. September 2002. Amanda wanted piano lessons. My mother was at the kitchen table with the yellow pages open to music instruction. $120 a month for weekly lessons. Amanda got them. The following week, I asked for art class at the community center. $85 a month. My mother smiled. Maybe next year, honey. We just committed to Amanda's piano. But it's less expensive. Amanda needs more support, sweetie. You're doing fine on your own. I was 8. I didn't understand what that meant, but I remembered it. 9 years old. The car accident. I was 9, wearing my favorite pink heart pajamas, sitting on the 3rd step because that was the spot where the voices carried clearest without being seen. It was late, past my bedtime. Amanda had crashed her car that afternoon, texting while driving. Totaled. I heard my mother first. The deductible is $6,200. Vincent, we don't have that liquid right now. My father. What about Suzanne's custodial account? Dorothy put in $55,000. It's for her education, but this is temporary. We'll pay it back. My mother hesitated. It's for transportation to school. We can mark it that way. Silence. Then, okay, call Fidelity tomorrow. The next morning at breakfast, Amanda got pancakes, extra syrup, I got cereal. No one mentioned the car. No one mentioned the money. But I remembered. I always remembered. That was the first time I felt something cold settle in my chest, like I was the backup plan. 14 years old, the UConn dropout. Fall 2010, Amanda started UConn. In-state tuition, $12,400 a semester. She lasted until December. Not ready for college. Too much pressure. She came home for winter break and never went back. $18,600 for one semester. She didn't finish. I remember the family group text that December. Amanda wrote, "I'm coming home for break, and I think I'm going to take some time off. College isn't for me right now." My mother, "That's okay, sweetie. You can figure things out at home." My father, "No shame in taking a break." Nobody mentioned the money. Nobody said $18,600 mattered. But I was 14 sitting at my desk doing algebra homework, and I thought, that's 3 years of my textbooks or a used car or my entire college application fees. Amanda moved back into her old room, got a retail job at $11 an hour, lived rent-free. She never went back to school. 16 years old. The wedding deposit. June 2012. Amanda got engaged to Brian, sales rep, 28 years old. The wedding was planned for September 2013. The venue, Waterview in Monroe, required an $8,500 deposit. My father paid it from the Family Emergency Fund. A joint account opened in 2008 for people had access. My father, my mother, me, and Amanda. It was supposed to be for emergencies. I saw the withdrawal alert on my phone. I was 16, studying for the SATs in the library. That night at dinner, I asked carefully, "Mom, isn't the emergency fund for actual emergencies?" She looked surprised. I'd noticed. This is an emergency, honey. Venues book up a year in advance. We had to secure the date, but it's $8,500. It's your sister's wedding. This is important. The next week, I asked about SAT prep courses. $400 for a 6-week class. You can use free Khan Academy, sweetie. Amanda's wedding, $8,500. Emergency. My SAT prep, $400. Not important. In April 2013, Brian cheated on Amanda with a coworker. Amanda called off the wedding. The venue kept the deposit non-refundable after 12 months. $8,500 gone. In May, I was studying for finals. I asked my mother at breakfast, "Do you think we could get the deposit back from the venue? Maybe we could use it for college visits." My father exploded. First time he'd ever yelled at me. "Your sister just had her heart broken. The wedding's off and you're worried about money." I backed away. "I didn't mean family sticks together, Suzanne. Or doesn't that mean anything to you?" I said I was sorry. Said I was just asking. But that night lying in bed, I started something new. I opened the Google Doc, titled it Family Financial Decisions 2001 to 2015. I started taking screenshots, bank statements when they came, emails about accounts, transaction alerts. I didn't know why yet. I just knew I needed proof of something I couldn't articulate. Yale. The self-funding years. I got into Yale in 2013. Full scholarship covered $32,000. Work study, $6,000. That left a $10,000 gap per year for room, board, fees, books. I emailed my parents in April. I got into Yale. Full aid package attached. We'd need to cover about $10,000 per year. My father replied, "Congratulations. That's wonderful. We're so proud." I wrote back, "Can we talk about the $10,000? I can work summers," but he said, "Let's discuss when you're home for break." We never discussed it. I worked 3 jobs at Yale. Library aide, peer tutor, research assistant, summer internships. $8,000 to $11,000 each year. I covered that $40,000 gap myself all 4 years. My parents contributed $0. Meanwhile, Amanda lived at home, rent-free. They paid her car insurance, her phone bill, her health insurance. In 2014, after my sophomore year, my mother said, "See, Susie, you didn't need that education fund after all. You're doing just fine." I was working 25 hours a week on top of a full course load. But she was right. I was fine because I had no choice. By senior year, I had already started the Google Doc Family Financial Decisions. One night, I cross-checked the withdrawals against IRS Publication 97. Oh, the 2016 edition. But the rules were the same. Every single memo they used, beneficiary, transportation, medical expense, educational materials, was technically a taxable distribution, if not for my direct benefit. Penalty up to 10% plus back taxes. I printed that page, too, highlighted it, filed it in the back of the folder. I never showed it to anyone, not yet. But I knew if they ever pushed, I had the nuclear option. Drop receipts if you want the IRS guide in part 2. So when my mother texted me on July 18th, 2017 for weeks before my 21st birthday and said, "That money is for the family. We all support each other." I knew what was coming. That's when I called Thomas Weller, my grandmother's attorney. On August 18th, 2017, I sat in Thomas Weller's conference room in Stamford. The air smelled of old paper and coffee. He was 64, white hair, neatly combed, glasses perched on his nose. The same attorney who had drafted my grandmother's gift letter in 2001.
He remembered me.
Suzanne Francis, little girl at Dorothy's funeral. You were 5. I nodded. I need to know my rights. Can my father block the transfer once I turn 21? He pulled the file, thick-tabbed, labeled Hamilton, Francis UTM, A201. He read the gift letter aloud, voice steady. Upon reaching age 21, full control shall transfer to Suzanne. Shall mandatory language under Connecticut Law Section 45A, 558C. No discretion for the custodian. I asked the hard question. What if he tries to move money out after my birthday, but before the transfer processes? Thomas leaned forward. That would be unauthorized. Technically, conversion of property, but prevention is better. File the transfer request yourself on the Fidelity portal the day you turn 21. Update your contact info first. Email, phone, address so notices go to you, not him. I had already done that on August 15th, my birthday. Changed everything to my Manhattan apartment. He smiled faintly. You're thorough. Dorothy would be proud. I left with a copy of the statute highlighted in yellow and a knot in my stomach that felt like resolve. On August 22nd, I submitted the transfer request to Fidelity. 5 business days later, Fidelity emailed, transfer complete. Account converted to individual brokerage holder Suzanne M. Francis. I stared at the confirmation for a full minute. $92,315.83. Mine legally untouchable. I set up the security fortress that night. 12-character password with symbols. 2-factor on my phone only. Trusted devices limited to my laptop and cell. Security questions. First funeral attended. Answer. Grandma Dorothy's 2001. Something he'd never guess. Email alerts for every single login attempt. If anyone tried, even him, they'd trigger an immediate notification. And on September 24th, 2017, they did. After that night, I didn't go home for 2 months. I threw myself into first-year law, contracts with Professor Stein, tours with Professor Rivera, civil procedure, property law, 80 to 100 pages of reading every night. I joined Professor Rebecca Nolan's family law clinic. She became the mentor I needed, the one who saw me clearly when my own family didn't. I formed a study group. Michael, Sophie, Jordan. All of us had complicated family stories. We understood each other. One night in November, I told them, my family wanted me to give up my education fund for my sister's baby. Michael asked, did you? No, and now we don't really talk. Sophie said, good for you. For the first time in months, I felt like I belonged somewhere. But in January 2018, I did something I'd been thinking about for weeks. I requested my complete transaction history from Fidelity all the way back to 2001. The file arrived on January 18th, 58 pages. I printed every single one. My studio apartment in Harlem was tiny, 300 square feet, one window facing an air shaft. The fluorescent overhead light buzzed like a trapped fly. I cleared the floor, spread the 58 pages in a grid, page by page. The original deposit, $55,000 from Dorothy Hamilton, November 3rd, 2001. Growth over 16 years, solid, but not spectacular. Average 3.8% annually after fees. Then the withdrawals. I already knew about the $6,200 in 2005, but there were 2 more I had never seen. March 3rd, 2009, $2,850. Memo beneficiary medical expense.
I was 14 that year.
No dental work. No doctor's visits. Nothing. July 9th, 2012. 4,800 memo. Educational materials. Beneficiary. That was the summer before senior year. I was buying used textbooks for $300 total. The memo was a lie. Every single one. Then page 34, the email chain from Vincent Francis to Fidelity. UTM a support June 28, 2012. Can I withdraw from the UTMA for family expenses? The beneficiary would indirectly benefit from family stability. Fidelity's reply the next day. Custodians may only use funds for the direct benefit of the beneficiary. Education, health, maintenance, support. Indirect benefit from family emergency does not qualify. Please consult an attorney. My father understood. Thank you. 10 days later. The $4,800 withdrawal. Anyway, I read it 3 times out loud. Voice shaking in the empty room. He knew. He asked if it was allowed. They said no.
He did it anyway.
Marked it as my educational materials. I felt heat rise in my chest. Not the hot flash of anger, but something colder, clearer, clarity. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a pattern of entitlement. They had depleted Amanda's $529 first, down to $3,180 from $50,000. When hers ran dry, they turned to mine. I was the second account, the backup, the disposable one. I stacked the pages neatly, took photos of every withdrawal, every memo, every email, saved them to an encrypted drive. Then I sat on the floor back against the wall and let the tears come. Not sad tears, angry tears, relieved tears, because now I had proof, not just feelings. Receipts. I imagined my mother one day reading those 58 pages. Would she cry the way I cried in the car after holding Emma? Would she finally understand that every pancake she gave Amanda while I ate cereal was one more brick in the wall that made me build my own house? Would she understand that you're strong enough doesn't mean you don't deserve help? Or would she just say I was being difficult again? If you've ever discovered your family has been lying to you about money, comment receipts right now. Like if your team boundaries February 15th, 2018, Valentine's Day baby. Emma Rose Francis, 7 pounds 30. My mother texted at 11:43 a.m. She's here. Healthy, beautiful. Can you come? I was in property law class mid-lecture on adverse possession. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. I replied at 2:15. Congratulations, class, until 5. I'll try Saturday. This weekend, Susie, first day is special. I have a tours midterm Monday. Saturday afternoon, Stamford Hospital, room 412. Amanda looked exhausted, hair in a messy bun, eyes puffy from hormones and tears. Emma in the bassinet, tiny fists, perfect rosebud mouth. My parents hovered. Jason was at work. We all knew that was a lie. I brought baby clothes, soft cotton onesies, $85 from Target. My mother, isn't she beautiful? She's perfect. I asked to hold her. They placed her in my arms. She weighed almost nothing. Her eyes gray-blue opened for a second, unfocused, then closed again. I felt something crack inside me. Not anger at Amanda, not resentment, protectiveness. I whispered to her so quiet no one else heard. You will never have to earn love by being convenient. I promise. I held her 4 minutes, handed her back. I need to study. On the drive back to Manhattan, snow flurries hit the windshield. I pulled over at a rest stop on I-95, engine running, heat blasting, and I cried for Emma. For the little girl I used to be, who never got held that way. For the family that still didn't see me. In March, Jason disappeared. Left Amanda alone with a 3-week-old baby. My mother called. Left a voicemail. Amanda needs family right now. Could you at least call her? I texted Amanda. I'm sorry about Jason. Let me know if you need anything practical. She replied 2 days later. I thought you'd understand. Guess I was wrong. In June, my parents took out a $35,000 loan, 8.3% interest, $714 a month, for 5 years. My mother texted, if you could help, we're stretched thin. I replied, I'm working 2 jobs to pay rent, Mom. I'm stretched thin, too. It wasn't entirely true. I had money, but it was my money. By December, Amanda had moved back home. My parents, both in their early 60s, were raising Emma while Amanda looked for work. I came home for Christmas. One day, I stayed at a hotel. Dinner lasted an hour and 18 minutes. My father looked 5 years older. My mother served ham instead of roast, less expensive. Throughout 2019, I went home 3 times total. Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, each visit shorter than the last. By December 2019, my mother called. I just want my daughter back. I'm right here, Mom. No, you're not. You're somewhere else. I paused. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you never really knew me. I hung up. I graduated Columbia Law in May 2020. Virtual ceremony, because of when they called my name jurist Dr. Cum Laude, Suzanne Marie Francis. My study group erupted on Zoom. My parents texted, so proud. I replied 6 hours later. Thank you.
I took the bar exam in July.
When results came in October, I stared at the screen.
Pass.
My father texted. Knew you'd make it. You always do. You always do. Yeah, because I don't have a choice. In September 2020, I started at the Legal Aid Society of New York, Family Law Division, $58,000 a year. My first major case came in November. Isabella Rodriguez, 22 years old. Her parents were trying to take her $80,000 inheritance from her uncle. Their argument, family emergency. I stood in court and said, Your Honor, the deedance will names Isabella Rodriguez as sole beneficiary. The inheritance is her property under law. And the opposing counsel said, This is about family values. She's being selfish. I looked at the judge. This is about legal documents, Your Honor. The will says what it says. We won. After the hearing, Isabella hugged me, crying. I thought I was being selfish. I looked at her. You're not selfish. You're protecting what's yours. That's not selfish. That's survival. Over the next 3 years, I handled 38 cases. I won 35. Every single one felt personal. In 2023, I was promoted to senior attorney, $74,000 a year, an office with a window. I framed my grandmother's gift letter, hung it on the wall behind my desk. When clients doubted themselves, I pointed to it. Gifts are gifts, not loans. You don't owe anyone your future. In October 2025, the Connecticut Law Tribune published a feature, Rising Stars in Family Law. I was on the list. The article said, Attorney Francis has built her practice on a simple principle. Legal documents say what they say. With a 92% win rate, Francis has protected over $4 million in assets for clients whose families tried to claim money that wasn't legally theirs. The article was shared 12,600 times. On December 10, 2025, my mother called. Her voice was shaking. I saw the article about you protecting people whose families try to take their money.
Pause.
Can we talk in person?
Why now?
Because I read what you wrote about families weaponizing love. And I think I understand now what we did to you. Blue Moon Cafe, corner table. 3 coffees already waiting. Mine medium latte still hot. They remembered. My father looked smaller than I remembered. Grayer. My mother's hands trembled around her mug. We read the article. He started. Rising Stars, 92% win rate, for $1 million protected. Yes, my mother. You help people whose families try to take their money, like we tried to take yours. The words hung there. First time either had said it aloud in 8 years. My father cleared his throat. We didn't know it would hurt you so much. We thought you were strong enough. You'd understand. I let the silence stretch. Then I was strong enough, Dad. That's the problem. I was strong enough to see exactly what you were doing. Strong enough to change the password 5 weeks before you asked. Strong enough to print the statute and the gift letter and bring the folder to dinner. Strong enough to walk away and build a life without waiting for your approval. My mother started crying quietly. We were desperate. Amanda was pregnant. Jason lost his job. We had no savings left. You had savings. You spent them on Amanda's car in 2005, her half semester at UConn, her wedding deposit in 2012. Then you came for mine. My father shifted. That was for family stability. You benefited indirectly. I pulled out my phone, opened the photo of the 2012 email chain, turned the screen toward him. Fidelity told you indirect benefit does not qualify. You said understood, then withdrew anyway. He stared at the screen, face pale. My mother, we thought we'd pay it back someday. You never did. $13,850 marked as my expenses. I never saw a cent. Silence. Suddenly, the cafe door opened. Cold December air rushed in. Amanda walked in, Emma on her hip. Emma was 7 now, pigtails, winter coat with snowflakes. She looked tired but determined. I read the article, too, Susie. She sat down at our table without asking. Emma stayed quiet, sensing the tension. I never knew about the 13,000. Not until yesterday, when Mom told me. Her voice cracked. I thought it was just the big fund. I didn't know Dad had been. I'm so sorry. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She'd aged, too. Lines around her eyes, hands rough from work. You didn't ask questions because you didn't want the answer, Amanda. She flinched. You're right. My father cut in, voice low, but sharp. This is family business. If you keep pushing this publicly, Suzanne, we may have to involve lawyers. Slander. Defamation of character. I smiled calmly. Go ahead, Dad. I pulled out my phone again, opened a different document. IRS Publication 970, Section 5, highlighted. Any withdrawal from a custodial account that's not for the direct benefit of the named beneficiary is a taxable event. The custodian you is liable for penalties 10% of the withdrawn amount plus back interest since the year of withdrawal. I did the math out loud. 20056,200 penalty, 620 plus interest compounded over 18 years. 2092850 penalty, 285 plus 13 years interest. 2012 4,800 penalty, 480 plus interest. I looked at him. Total conservative estimate over $4,000 in IRS penalties plus back taxes. If they audit the memos you filed me to show you the calculation. He went pale, completely pale. Amanda whispered, Dad, you could get audited. My mother put her hand over her mouth. For the first time in 8 years, the table went completely silent. The truth wasn't just in my folder anymore. It was in the air, in front of Amanda, in front of Emma. Public comment team, Suzanne, if you think I made the right choice, my father. If there's anything we can do now financially, I don't need your money. I make $74,000 a year. I own my apartment. I have savings. I'm fine. My mother. Then what do you need from us? Honesty, that's all. And the right to decide what our relationship looks like going forward. Not you. She reached for my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't squeeze back. Emma looked up at me with wide eyes. Are you Aunt Susie? Mommy showed me your picture. I softened just for her. Yeah, sweetie. I'm Aunt Susie. Mommy says you're a lawyer. That's cool. Thanks, Emma. I turned to Amanda. I'll send birthday cards. Maybe we can meet for lunch sometime. Just us, you, and Emma. Amanda nodded, crying now. I'd like that. My father tried once more. We thought we were protecting the family. You protected Amanda. You sacrificed me. That's not the same thing. My mother whispered, I'm so sorry, Suzanne. We failed you. And I looked at them both. I know. And I survived anyway. I stood up. Emma waved. Bye, Aunt Susie. I waved back. Bye, Emma. Be good. I walked out into the December cold. No hug with my parents, no tears, just lighter. People ask if I ever forgave them. That's the wrong question. Forgiveness implies I was waiting for them to deserve it. I wasn't waiting. I was building. Building a life where their approval didn't matter. Building a career helping others protect themselves from the people who are supposed to love them most. Building boundaries that can't be guilt-tripped away. They thought reallocating my future was a family decision. It wasn't. It was theft. Legal theft wrapped in love, justified by emergency. But theft nonetheless. My grandmother left that money for my education. I used it exactly as she intended. I graduated debt-free. I built a career. And now I help other daughters and sons do the same. Every case I win is proof that boundaries aren't cruelty. They're survival. Being the responsible one doesn't make you disposable. It makes you powerful. If you know your rights, if you document everything, if you're willing to stand alone when everyone else tells you to sacrifice. I didn't break my family. I stopped letting them break me. The letter on my wall, the one my grandmother signed 24 years ago, it doesn't just protect my clients, it protected me. And it still does because she saw me. She valued me. She wrote it down. And no emergency, no guilt, no weaponized love could ever erase what was written in black and white. After that coffee, I met with my psychologist friend again, over drinks. She said something that stuck with me. Most parents, like yours, aren't evil, Suzanne. They're just repeating generational scripts, but the law gives you the pen to rewrite yours. I went home that night and hung Grandma Dorothy's letter higher on my office wall. Next to it, I pinned the IRS notice. I never sent the one calculating their penalty exposure. A reminder, not of revenge, of clarity. And that's exactly why I'm making part 2. I'm going to show you the exact 9-page template I use with every client. How to request full transaction history going back to account inception. How to identify memo fraud and flag it for IRS review under Publication 97. Oh, how to draft the demand letter that makes custodians back down in 48 hours without litigation. Over $4 million protected using this exact process. I still have that navy blue folder 2 in thick. It's in my office, now next to the framed gift letter. When a new client sits across from me, usually a daughter, sometimes a son, and says, "Maybe I'm being selfish," I point to the frame. "See this? Your grandmother or uncle or parent wrote it down in black and white. That's the law. Not guilt, not emergency, not love weaponized." They nod. They win. And every time I remember the night I locked my door and changed the password, that was the night I chose myself. And I've never regretted it. My name is Suzanne Francis. I'm 29 years old. I built my life on a foundation they couldn't take away because I wouldn't let them. If you want to see part 2, where I walk you through the exact legal folder template, the IRS audit triggers, and the demand letter that's protected over $4 million for my clients, hit subscribe right now. If you've ever been told that being capable means you don't deserve help, send this to someone who needs to hear it. Your future is not a family asset. Your autonomy is not negotiable, and choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's the most American thing you can do. Comment legal folder if you want the full template pinned. I'll drop the link to the downloadable PDF in the comments. Subscribe for part 2, the folder that beats any family emergency. This is Suzanne Francis, and I just told you how I used the law and the IRS to protect myself from the people who are supposed to protect me. The receipts don't lie, and neither does the law.
See you in part 2.